And now, your official TigerBait live show with Mike Scarborough starts now.
All right, everybody, welcome in. Mike Scarborough here with TigerBait.com, and I got Zach Necke here with LSU Tigers on SI, and he does a fantastic job filling in for Buddy Songy, who's out tonight. But we got a lot to talk about. Obviously, the LSU baseball team off to a start that's what you would expect from our team with everything that they've got, and certainly haven't played anybody of note. But look, they've taken care of business and done what they're supposed to do against lesser opponents. LSU women's basketball team stumbles in Austin, and they'll get back in the win column tomorrow night. We'll talk about that. And, oh, by the way, don't forget, Inside LSU women's basketball, it's 7:30. Emily Ward will join me for that one and maybe another special guest. We'll talk some football recruiting. Matt McMahon now has won two straight with his hit the over and under, Zach, on 3 wins for the season in the SEC. And we can talk about that and a lot more. But welcome in. What's up?
Yeah, man, not too much. Like you were talking about, we're officially in crossover season. We got football recruiting. We got spring camp coming up in less than a month. Women's basketball, men's basketball, baseball, gymnastics, you name it. I mean, you don't get to sleep when you cover LSU sports. So we're sitting here talking everything. So excited to do it. Excited to talk some ball, and definitely no shortage of athletics when it comes to LSU.
Absolutely. And also, by the way, tomorrow our Batter Up show with Kendall Rogers, we'll record that tomorrow. So that'll be on this channel as well. Where do you want to start? Let's start at the beginning of the week, and that means Sunday. And the LSU women's basketball team went to Austin and looked like they were going to do it. And then things fell apart in the second half, had 11-point lead. And but boy, that stat, when you look at the stat sheet, the Longhorns 21 of 21 at the free throw line. That was a killer.
Yeah, it was. And not to cut you off, but just my thing about that game was, look, like you said, 11, 12-point lead midway through the third quarter. You were, in my opinion, dominating in almost every single facet. And not all of them, but almost all of them. And you got your buckets from your big three, Anissa Morrow, Michaela Williams, Flauge, of course. But the bench production is just always going to be the thorn in this team's side. And I think that's just a casual take. When you only have, 9 points combined between Cheyenne Day Wilson, Samaya, last year Poa, et cetera. I mean, only getting 7 points off the bench and then a couple other points from Samaya is just not going to cut it. You're not going to be able to win deep if you're only getting production from your big three. So for me, that was the main takeaway. And then, of course, undisciplined basketball. I think turnovers is going to continue to crush this team unless they can get more discipline. And I think a team under Kim Mulkey is going to get disciplined when the lights are brightest. So I'm excited to see how they recover. Like you said, tomorrow night they'll get back in the win column. But that game in Austin was definitely one that this team will kind of mull over for the next couple of days and leading into tomorrow.
Well, and that's the key. We talk about it every week. They're going to be a high seed. They're going to host, but you don't want to lose a home game. And then you were maybe hoping to, look, you'd love to win out. But, look, you got to tip your hat to Texas. They started their week last week, beating South Carolina at home. Then they had to go to Lexington. They blew out the Wildcats up there. And, of course, LSU did not play a Thursday night game, so they got to rest. But Texas comes home and gets it done, and they beat 3 top 10 teams in 1 week. So you got to give them major kudos. But the guard play for LSU is certainly, an issue. And you have to have super human efforts from your big three in order to offset what you're getting from the other players on the roster. And I know a lot of people, a lot of LSU fans on social media and questioning the amount of minutes that last year Poa got at the end of the game. I think there was a size disadvantage. They were having way too many turnovers, and that's why she got that. That's why she went with Poe at the end.
I agree, and I think you got to, like you said, tip your cap to Texas to go out, get a win over South Carolina, and end the week with a win over LSU. I mean, that's a great team, and that's why they're going to be a number 1 seed in the tournament. I mean, they have proven just that with those kind of statement victories. To beat both those programs in 1 year, or even 1 week, I mean, it's mind-blowing. So that team's doing some good things. They battled through adversity. So, like I said, tip your cap to Texas. They surely did their thing. But post play is going to be a spot where this team needs a little bit more work, like you alluded to. I mean, Jersey Wolfenbarger as well as Samaya need to get a little bit more muscle in the post and get more production down low. So those are the things for you, your post play and then your true guard play. That's where you're going to have to figure things out before the end of the season comes, into the SEC tournament, into the NCAA tournament. They're going to host. Like you said, they're going to host. They're going to get to win in Baton Rouge and do their thing in front of the home crowd. But there are certainly some key pieces that need to get corrected by the time it's all said and done. And Mulkey, she was on off the bench, yesterday maybe, and she sounded fiery and passionate. So I'm excited to see how they recover come tomorrow and then to cap off SEC play.
Yeah, look, I when I look at this team, I've never thought that this team was a national title team. Maybe there was at times where you said, man, especially when Gilbert, after the first Tennessee game, and she had that night, you're like, boy, what if, and then you start thinking, and you see at times some flashes of Wolfenbarger, putting it together, and, certainly Samaya in recent games, but none of those have all clicked at the same time, have they? It's your three do what they do, and then maybe one of the three is maybe not where you want them to be. But you never have KG and Samaya and Wolfenbarger all put it together at the same time along with the three.
Agreed. And that's the problem. It's just not clicking right now, Mike. You're spot on 100%.
So yeah, I don't know. So when I look ahead, and I'm always in the recruiting mode. First, we need to know what's going to happen with Flaugier, right? Are you convinced she's coming back?
I feel like it's just too much to pass up on. I would like to envision that she comes back to school. Yes. I would say for right now at this moment, yes. Does she weigh a lot of things, obviously, on her plate, factor in academics? It's a tough challenge, but she's the face of the NIL game right now. And I think she can just continue to stack money while being a student and really paving the way there. But I never really thought about that. You're right. That's definitely a big time decision that she's going to have to make.
I think it's 50-50.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So you lose Anissa Morrow and her in the same year. Look, obviously a fantastic high school haul, but boy, you want to talk about how important the portal is going to be. It's going to be just as important, even with Flaugier coming back. The portal is just going to be important for Mulkey as it is for Matt McMahon. So that's the segue into the men. I don't know, a couple of days ago, a news report surfaced that Matt McMahon would be back and they're giving more money for NIL. But how is that news? I mean, we've been talking about on this show for a month. I don't know. Did anybody think that that LSU was going to buy out an $8.25 million contract?
That was my thing. Obviously, that came out, and to me, the news was obviously upping the ante on the NIL front. But by no means did I think that they were going to kick Matt McMahon to the curb after this season. They gave him a 7-year contract, 8-year, whatever it was, for a reason. They knew it was going to take time to steer the ship in the right direction. By no means did I think this year was a do or die season for McMahon. Next year, we'll have that conversation. But right now, no. Upping the ante on the NIL front was the storyline there for me. You look at LSU and South Carolina as the bottom two teams in the SEC when it comes to NIL resources. So giving him, like I said, more resources and kind of an open checkbook to go get some guys, that's key. And I think that's the big headliner there. You've got to pay to play. You got to pay to win.
And here's the thing. In order to play, and if you want this LSU men's basketball team to be in the upper half of the SEC or the upper third, you have to more than triple what they spent last year. More than triple.
So what to you is a starting caliber player in the SEC? Like how big do you have to open your checkbook to go get a starting player? Is it $750K?
We're hearing Corey Chess is going to fetch $800 to $1 million. So if he's worth that, what do you think a first or second team all SEC guy is?
Yeah, that's $1 million plus. That's no questions asked.
So when we're talking about CNET getting $3 million from Houston, now is that $3 million $1 million a year? Was it $3 million a year? Is that going to be
he's not, I don't know if he's a one and done player, but certainly it's over. Yeah, it's a lot for chest or for CNAC.
Yeah. But is this the deal where we go all the way back to Trent Johnson, where Trent Johnson says that, he's not going to recruit those kind of guys?
You got it. That's the thing. I mean, high school wise for McMahon, I can sit back and give him his praise. To get 3 top 100 players with the resources that he has right now, that's a win. That's a win. And you got to give him his flowers in that regard. I will. But that's the long-term, quote-unquote, play. Short-term, you got to go dominate the portal. And that's why you're going to have to open up your checkbook. And to triple the resources that you have right now, I'll see it. But when I see it, then I'll believe it. But for now, I mean, like you said, you're going to have to shell out some serious cash in order to make this roster competitive.
You can't be at $2 million and everybody else is 7 to 10.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So, all right, everybody, if y'all enjoying the show, please do me a favor, hit that like button, share it out to your social media. We're going to go to right at 7 o'clock. And all right, Brad David, good evening, Mike and Buddy. Well, no, it's Zach. Do you think LSU men's will win any more games this year? I don't think they do. We talked about the schedule earlier today, and I don't see another win. Do you?
I don't see it either, and I hate to be a pessimist about it. I don't see another win, but then again, I didn't see another 2 wins. And I was talking to Buddy last week, and he set the bar at 2 more wins. Do you think they win at least 2? And I said no. I said they'd be lucky to get 1. So I've been wrong before. Hopefully I'm wrong again, but I definitely can't envision another big-time win for this team before SEC play ends.
Absolutely. Texas Tiger says, hey, Mike, LSU sports rankings are pretty good. Absolutely got 11 in the top 25. 8 in the top 10. That's absolutely incredible. So, baseball 2, gymnastics 3, softball 5, women's basketball 7, golf 8, volleyball 8, indoor track 8, tennis 9, women's golf 19, women's swimming and diving 20, and men's swimming and diving 22. That's a heck of a run there for all your spring sports. Poa has to be better. She over dribbles and turns it over too much.
Offensively, it's a challenge for Poa right now, but defensively, she's a unique on-ball defender. She takes charges. She does the dirty work. That's really all I can really say about Poa's game is that she likes to do the dirty work and she can help in that facet. But offensively, I do completely agree.
I mean, would you say, you're never going to say that, but do you think that they thought they were going to get more out of the 3 guards they got out of the portal than they've gotten?
I would say so, yes. And for me, I like Jada. I mean, I'd love to see Jada Richard get some minutes. I know she's a little bit undersized, and it's been a small sample size of her on the floor, but why not let her get her feet wet a little bit and give her a couple more minutes? I know you might want to preserve a red shirt if that's still on the table. I'd have to check, but nonetheless, I definitely would have expected to see a little bit more.
I don't think that's on the table, but yeah, we get that in our comments on a lot of our basketball videos about getting more of Jada. I've liked what I've seen from her. I haven't seen anything from her on the court to me that warrants her having her minutes reduced, only added to.
I agree.
Now look, there's things we don't know, but from what we see as laymen, but maybe Coach Mulkey and Coach Starkey see different. Hal Jubin, good evening, Mike. Nice win last night, and great to see the men win a couple in a row. Yeah, it was. We set the over and under for 3 wins for men's basketball, and I think they're going to hit it right on the head.
Yep.
But a week ago, I thought they wouldn't win another one, and Buddy thought they would, so he was right. And the women, I thought the over and under was 3. Now they're at 2, and so I think they can win out, but I can see them losing one.
I'm with you on that.
So that we're holding court on that right now. Yeah, Carl the Cat Dunn, too cold for baseball today. I know the thought I was getting was that Nichols probably wouldn't cancel the game because they knew if they did, it would be a tall order to convince LSU to come back to Thibodeau later in the year, especially once SEC play starts. But I imagine it's going to be sooner rather than later when they try to get that one in.
Agreed.
Barry Barbie, if LSU had played South Carolina and Baton Rouge and Texas and Baton Rouge, that would have been 2 wins. It's hard to win on the road in the SEC when ranked teams collide in women's basketball. Absolutely. And so Alabama's got a good team. You got to play them on the road. In with Ole Miss at home. We'll see. Michael Dion, surprised to see that LSU men's basketball NIL was the bottom of the barrel in the SEC. How does a team like Missouri outspend the Tigers in men's basketball? I think Missouri, would you say, I'm not going to say that, but Missouri's kind of always prided themselves on having a nice basketball tradition. And sometimes it depends on, is there a certain someone around your program that's wealthy and that's their baby and they decide to spend the money.
I'm with you on that. And it's a whole new beginning for Missouri. They're flipping the script and they got kind of a new start over there. So they went out and reconstructed their roster and you need funds to do that. So am I surprised? Not really. I think you're going to start to see all the SEC schools kind of up the ante on that front. But to see LSU in the bottom tier, I think the proof's in the product. So I'm not too surprised, I guess, when I saw that.
All right, everybody. These shows each and every week are brought to you by Pride Roofing, our title sponsor, the official roofing company of TigerBait. Let's hear from Mike and Alex.
Hi, I'm Michael with Pride Roofing.
I'm Little Alex.
Have you been affected by wind, hail, and tornadoes on the North Shore? Well, we're here to help.
Insurance claim, no problem.
We also have a new franchise location in New Orleans.
We don't build projects, we build memories.
But you know Pride Roofing is the official roofer of TigerBait.com.
In fact, notify TigerBait and we'll give you a free roof inspection. And on top of that, you get a free year subscription. Remember to call us at 855-PRIDE-16.
All right, there you have it. 855-PRIDE-16. You get a free roof inspection when you call it number, say TigerBait. And they'll pay for you to have TigerBait Premium free for a year. That's a $99 value. Talked to Mike earlier today. Told me to, again, reiterate, you got on letterhead a bid on a roof from a competitor, another roofing company, and a lot of you need multiple bids. They will beat them all by, they'll beat them all by 150. You can't beat it. Big LSU fans, a Louisiana company, and they always have in stock up to $2 million in shingles in the yard. And so you're not going to be waiting around for your shingles to come in. They can get on it quickly. And most roofs can be done from tear down to redo in a day. So give Pride Roofing a call. All right, let's dive into some more comments. Chance Babin, Wolfenberg is such a waste of height. If Morrow had that height, she would be unstoppable. Yeah, I mean, look,
unstoppable at 6'1", but yeah, no, I don't think she's a waste of height. I think obviously there's going to be some learning curves here after not really playing too much last year. But of course, if you give Morrow a couple more inches, she's already unstoppable as it is at 6'1". You give her 6'3", 6'4", yeah, you're looking at a specimen.
Here's the thing. When you look at Jersey, she's got little bitty ankles. Her bone structure is not made for carrying a lot of muscle. First of all, we're talking about women. All right, she can hang out in the weight room and hang out at the squat rack multiple days a week, and it's not like she can get big like a football player.
Yeah,
right. She is what she is. And so she's trying to learn a position that she's never played for under Kim, and I think she's done fairly well. But she's never going to be a bruiser, and she's never going to be someone that's going to be an immovable object in the paint. And you can say the same thing about Samaya, although Samaya's a lot more angular, and I think probably in the weight room. Can do a significant more weight than Jersey can. All right. Yeah, men played well, says Dr. John Sibley Butler. Yeah, they did. 2 games in a row. That was a crazy ending to the Oklahoma game. And Coach Mack will be back next year with a pretty good recruiting class. What would you say, Zach, that he needs to do on top of that in the portal? What are the must-haves? And what's the over and under? What's the over and under on how many players he goes for in the portal? And he's gonna lose some.
He will. Is 5 too? Is that too high of a number to say? I think you need to go and attack at least 2 bigs and 2 guards. You need experience, and then a flyer like a wing. And to me, I feel like that almost just sounds too casual. But you need to go get a pair of bigs, no doubt. He's a player that likes to stretch the floor and have stretch bigs, so it's like a 4 out, 1 in type of deal. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him go out and get a stretch big to come in and make an instant impact. But especially, I'd say 5. I would say 5 is your sweet spot right there. 2 guards, 2 bigs, one of them being a stretch big, of course, and then a wing just to come in and shoot the ball for you.
What is the sales pitch?
And that's where it gets tricky.
That's the NIL. There's the NIL number, right? Does the NIL number in the pitch outweigh your basketball history? Whether they think you're a good coach? Is it just strictly dollars, or does it vary from player to player?
It's where it gets tricky. I mean, McMahon is a guy who can recruit well. He's proven that with the resources that he has. So you and I, we've seen what Brian Kelly has to say. It's no longer about relationships. You have to back it on the financial front too. And I think when it comes to LSU, they're in such a bind right now on the hardwood. It's going to come down to dollars. I think it's going to come down to dollars. You're going to have to shell out big time money in order to get some of these players here, because you could look at a school like, we'll say Alabama. Alabama has a tradition of winning, and they could probably give somebody less money, but pair that with their tradition of winning. That's going to lure kids their way. For LSU, there's not a tradition of winning right now. You're going to have to open up the checkbook. So that's where it gets interesting. And I think we're on the same page on that front, that it's going to take some serious dollars to get these big time players to Baton Rouge. And if they up the ante like they say they're going to, I see no reason why they can't do that.
You know, other than some flashes with Will Wade,
right?
Does the just the LSU brand and everything else in the athletic department, in the school, and the brand itself, does that help an LSU if they're going head to head with some blue bloods for some guys in the portal if the money is the same?
I would say so in a way, and that's not the best take in the world for me, but I think when you look at what people have done once they get to Baton Rouge on the football front, you could look at Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, Livy Dunn comes in, Flau'jae Johnson. You have people that have come in and made money in different avenues. No, you haven't seen it in men's basketball. You just haven't. But I think that the sell could be that there's a way for people to make more money other than the check that Matt McMahon and the basketball program give them. I think there's outside opportunities in Baton Rouge that you can work with. And we've seen national brands work with the athletes. So I think being a global brand and having these big time endorsements come in to Baton Rouge and give these people money, I think that could be a sell for athletes, of course, because you don't see schools like Kansas normally get those big time endorsement deals. You see people at LSU, whether it's Powerade, you see Livy Dunn with that gymnastics, or it's like a clothing company, Vora or something, I can't remember. And then of course Flau'jae's with Rock Nation. So you see people just coming to Baton Rouge and getting big time deals. I think that's a sell.
Is it Viore? It's it's a Fabletics type of stuff. Yeah. And believe me, they probably very much that pays off for them. Her promoting those yoga pants and all that kind of stuff. All right, Dykes Electric, the official electrical company of TigerBait.com. No matter how big or small your electrical needs may be, Dykes is wired for success. If you need a brand new 10-story office building, they can wire that. 200,000 square foot warehouse that you need built, they can wire that. Expanding your existing commercial building, they can wire that. Or simply changing out a breaker, a whole electrical panel, or just a receptacle in your home or office, they can wire that. Upgrading the old lighting in your home or office, they can wire that. Give them a call today at the number on your screen, 225-216-9180, for a free estimate on your project. And please make sure to let them know TigerBait sent you in. Huge LSU fans, a Louisiana company, and of course, based right here in Baton Rouge. And just a fantastic Louisiana company, and we're proud to be connected with them. Dr. Butler, Mike, the pros pay big money and lose. There aren't many basketball players who can carry a team. Kids can't shoot the ball on average. Okay. I don't know how to read that. I'm
trying to think of myself. Just, yeah. But when you're in college, you're playing to get that pro money is the best way that, like, maybe I'm interpreting that. I could be wrong, but when you're in college, you're trying to ball out to get to that next level. When you're in the pros, you're already getting a bag and you're already in the pros. So you're already getting money to lose anyway. That doesn't really matter. But in college, for the most part, you have to win to go and get a bag in the pros. That's my interpretation of that, Mike. I could be a little bit off.
Yeah. Look, I'm sure most basketball coaches would love to have a certain number of a nucleus that they know they're going to have for 3 or 4 years. Program guys. But then you have to say on your roster, how many it guys do you need? And how do you hold on to those? And if you get them out of high school, how do you maintain them without losing them?
Do you think that's why McMahon might have been so successful at, let's say, a Murray State, because he had so many players that had to stay for X amount of years? They could develop them and get chemistry. Do you think that might be like? Oh, absolutely. There's a big difference between a 18-year-old and a 22-year-old senior, and a group of guys that have been playing together for 3 or 4 years. Right.
Those are kind of teams you don't want to run into in the early rounds of the tournament. Dr. Butler also has Lady Tigers played well enough to win at Texas. Everyone's surprised when Texas won. Williams is the real deal. Jimmy Page is kind of, I'm kind of like that. That's probably where I'm at. Lady Tigers are tough, but I don't see anything past Sweet 16. To me, it depends on the draw. Do I think they can get to an Elite 8? I do. It depends on the draw, and it also depends on your big three doing what they do in a big way, and then, having 1 or 2 others that assert themselves, whether it's Samaya or KG or somebody. I mean, I know she's. Do you think that she's gotten what she was hoping to get out of Miracle Shepherd?
No, and that's what you and I were saying earlier. Like that's why I buy stock in somebody like Jada Richard, just because I think that she could give you something, a spark, and shoot the what out of the ball. We know that. You've seen her play in person in high school. You've seen her in person with women's basketball too in Baton Rouge. Like, this is someone who can provide somewhat of a spark. So tying that back together, I just don't think you've gotten the production and the level of play that you expected from those transfer guards. In my opinion, I sure as heck don't think so.
Carvasdor Reed's injury was massive. It was. If he were healthy, this mid teams would be very competitive. Oh, I absolutely believe that. I thought in December, before he got hurt, the way they looked at Kansas State, and I thought this team was absolutely going to be an NCAA tournament bubble team at a minimum. Am I wrong? Do you think I was outlandish?
Do I think a tournament team?
I like the way they looked in December with that when they were healthy.
Yeah, I think Reed's injury was obviously critical. I don't know if this team was quite an NCAA tournament team there, but bubble, sure. I think you saw the buzz and the juice that they played with to start the year off. Reed's an exceptional player. That injury was devastating. I don't think there's any other way to cut and slice it. But this team was always going to have some struggles come SEC play, but you factor that with Reed not being in the mix either. Yeah, I mean, it was a recipe for disaster, and it was a shame coming into a critical year for McMahon. No doubt about it.
Michael Duyon with a question. This is one where I would never – look, if she's going to admit some things in the post game, or I should have done this, then that's fine. But you're very rarely going to ever have me question Kim Mulkey's decisions. Do y'all think Mulkey, is too quick to pull players out of the game when they make a mistake and not let them play through it and get in a rhythm? I can tell you at point guard, she's probably going to be quick because that's her position and she's got high standards there. And that's probably the one place where she will get aggravated the most if there's a turnover, poor shot selection, poor passes. I mean, we see it every game, don't we? I mean, they're bouncing around in and out from one play to the next.
Well, I think you're spot on with what you said. I mean, that was her position. She's gonna be having people on a tight leash, and she's still trying to find that true point guard for this team right now. You don't have that yet. You're still rotating in the mix and seeing what you can get from each player to see who your go-to guard's going to be when postseason play starts. So, yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of these players on a tight leash. And no, I would never, ever question anything that a Hall of Famer in Kim Mulkey does. I mean, you'll never, ever catch me do that. So, do I think they're on a tight leash? Absolutely. Do I think she's doing it for all the right reasons? Absolutely.
Dr. Butler says that Lady Tigers are among top 4 teams in the country, looking at Final Four and maybe a natty. Got to peek at tournament time. I like your optimism. I'm not seeing it right now.
It depends on the draw. I don't know if it's a Final Four team. In fact, I don't think it's a Final Four team right now. When you look at the odds and you look at all the behind the scenes stuff, you got your UConn, your South Carolina, your UCLA. Those are your 3 heavy hitters. You throw in a Texas and some other programs as well. It's very top heavy right now.
Are you buying Notre Dame over Texas right now for number 1?
I can't, because we just watched what Texas can do. So we're biased. I mean, we just watched this team blow a huge lead. So for us, people who cover the team, no, I mean, I can't buy any stock in Notre Dame over Texas. I mean, are you kidding me? No.
It makes no sense to me.
No.
Jimmy Page says, Kim is great, but she's got her faults. Coach Ken, Mike, is the 105 went in effect for football? No, not in the SEC. They're not going to do it. Have you heard what the arguments are, Zach? Have you heard?
I haven't. I didn't know if they were.
I know BK. I know BK's not for it. That's more money. That's more NIL money you got to raise.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's an excellent point, actually.
That's a lot of NIL money you got to raise. You do the math on an extra 20. Phew.
Yeah, that's exceptional.
But where does the SEC draw the line? I mean, what happens if Ohio State goes to 95 or 100? Then what are you going to do?
How much do you think that changes the game if teams elect to go from that 85 to 105? If they're willing to shell out the money, shell out the dollars, get more scholarship players, how much do you think that changes the game when you can get people to come in as, let's say, preferred walk-ons, pay their way basically through NIL deals and whatnot? Do you think it really changes? Do you think it really changes all that much?
Maybe it gives you the ability to take a flyer on somebody, or maybe stockpile some players. And I will say this, particularly now with the playoff system and being in the SEC, and if they're talking about going to a 9-game SEC and still having the SEC title game, and then the playoffs and how many games you got to win then to become a national champion, with NIL, and you're seeing that most teams in the top 10 are not nearly as good as your top 10 teams a decade ago. Whether you could, where you had rosters where you could withstand injuries late in the year, whereas now you have very little depth even on your top teams, because that's what NIL, and we're absolutely in parity.
I'm with you.
So if you go to 90 or 95, maybe that gives you opportunity to, be able to withstand that if you lose an edge rusher or a corner. They're not going to be as good as your frontline guy, but maybe it gives you a fighting chance. But again, that's more NIL money you got to raise. Kim's team has lost 2 games this year. Yeah, well, I know, Dr. Butler. I've been at every home game. But there's some flaws on this team. I asked Emily this a week or two ago, I've had some thoughts in my mind that maybe Kim's first team in LSU would be highly competitive, if not better than this team.
That was that Kayla Pointer year, huh?
Yeah.
I loved her game. I mean, she was fantastic. Yeah, there's some work to do on this roster. And do I think that team would have been more successful this year? They sure had the bigs. I mean, they had some size in the post to do so. And I think that's critical come SEC play. And that's why I think South Carolina is so dominant, just because of the size that they have. And I think that's why they outplay LSU routinely. It's the size discrepancy. So, yeah, I think that team would have definitely been pretty damn competitive in 2024, 2025.
When I asked Emily that question, her eyes got big and she thought about it. And
yeah, no, you got me.
It's one of those deals where you're kind of like, man, do I want to answer that? Because here's the thing. What does this mean? That means Kim Mulkey is spoiled to everybody who's been watching her teams. She spoiled all of us, whether you're the media person or the fans, where you can have that kind of debate. She probably wouldn't like us having that debate, but the fact that we're sitting here nitpicking a team with 2 losses, what does that tell you about what she's done in a short period of time? But having said that, I will say that last year's high school haul overall probably set her back a little bit.
Agreed.
When you only signed Jada Richard.
And let me correct myself. I said Richard, not Richard. Richard. I said Richard last
time. Almost did earlier.
Yeah, no, Richard. And I get that. I think that's why this recruiting class was so pivotal, to go and get 3, 4 borderline 5 stars. So it's going to help them in the future. I think only getting one person is brutal. And I think Jada's a fantastic player, and we've said that on numerous occasions. But yeah, only getting one player from the high school ranks is going to set you back dramatically.
All right, Struby's, you know the drill. Located at 107 3rd Street, downtown Baton Rouge. All our TigerBait live shows probably brought to you by Struby's Seafood and Steaks. 5-star dining experience, locally owned right here in Baton Rouge. And again, really one of the better fine dining experiences you're going to have in South Louisiana, not just Baton Rouge. Great beef, USDA prime black Angus steaks, 100% certified Wagyu New York strip, great ribeyes. They've got it all. And but they also have great seafood. They got the dry aged pork chop, lobster pasta, and much more. Great desserts made in-house. Book your reservation online tonight at strubys.com, and please let them know TigerBait sent you in. And I tell you what you do, go to strubys.com and look at the menu. And I'm telling you, you'll want to head over there on a date night or any special occasions. And it's really nice downtown. It's easy to park in the evening. And Struby's, again, please tell them TigerBait sent you in. Let's see. Dr. Butler with a super chat. Mike, NIL was created for players to get deals from outside of businesses, not pay for play. Will revenue sharing get us back to the original purpose? Dr. Butler, thank you for that that big super chat. Very generous. I don't think so. I think all that does is set a baseline. Don't you, Zach? The revenue sharing component that they're going to get, that each player is going to get, all that is the baseline.
I wanted to get your perspective on that because I'm still trying to kind of pave my own way and understand the full wraparound of how revenue sharing is going to work in all aspects of all sports with LSU and beyond. So, yeah, I wanted to get your perspective a little bit more on that too.
Well, yeah, I mean, but all that does is, look, they're going to.
Just like a cap.
Yeah, well, that's only the money that comes from the school.
Right.
That has nothing to do with a local attorney or a local car dealer or a local engineering firm or anybody who really desires. Look, you've got an LSU football booster who follows recruiting as much as any recruiting guy, and he really wants you to have that 5-star quarterback for the class of 2027, and you that's going to be on top of the revenue sharing, and so Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see where LSU is at a year or two from now, because
Not just LSU.
every-
I think all teams all around. Like,
yeah,
I think,
but I also know LSU right now is in a financial pinch, budget wise, and so that revenue sharing deal needs to happen pretty quickly, and I think with Bayou Traditions they've made up a lot of ground in a short period of time, based on everything I've heard. And look, and that harkens back to what we were talking about earlier in the show with Matt McMahon. I mean, we were hearing in December, in January, about the discrepancy. And look, you're not going to get it done and be competitive. And I'll just say it this way: you can't call for Matt McMahon to be replaced, fire him and replace him, if your NIL budget's $2.1 million every year.
it's just going to be a repetitive cycle. I completely agree.
You're not going to win anything. Yeah. It don't matter how good of a coach you hire or how great they are. That budget has to be more than triple. And, I guess the question from there is, what percentages do these NIL numbers inflate every year? Do you have a run of a 2 or 3 year period where your number one rated defensive tackle in the country is kind of in the same ballpark dollar wise as the guy the year before him and the guy 2 years before him? Or is it going up 20% every year?
That's why it's going to go up drastically, right?
Yeah, because I think all the revenue sharing does is provide a baseline, right? And these kids have agents. They're like, well, no, that's the baseline. What about your boosters? That's on top. To me, the revenue sharing component is just like is like per diem, right?
I was thinking the exact same thing.
So we'll see. All right, everybody, please hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed to our channel already. We hit a milestone on Saturday, 35,000 subscribers. I want to thank all of you for being a part of our TigerBait community, watching our shows, watching our interviews and all the press conferences we upload daily. And big thanks to all of y'all for helping us hit that 35,000 mark on Saturday. We've been adding it at a pretty heavy clip for the last couple of years. Yeah, Notre Dame beat Texas, fellas.
And they did. And they have some big wins under their belt. Don't get me wrong. I'm not discrediting that. I'm not saying anything negative about Notre Dame. Hidalgo's a beast. Those wins were also a couple of months ago in December, I believe. So by no means am I saying Notre Dame is not a good team. I think Texas is clicking at a really good time, and they've gotten drastically better since that game. But yes, trust me, Notre Dame's got some big wins under their belt. I think they beat Southern Cal too. I think so. They've got some big wins.
Hakeem Batiste, LSU blew that Texas game. The turnovers and bad free throw shooting did them. Absolutely. Carver's Dirt, we need a point guard who understands to get the ball to Michaela, Flaugier, and Anissa. Yep. Cheyenne is Dave Wilson has kind of been what we were talking about earlier. Mulkey will pull her, put in Poa, move them around. I want to see more Jada Richard. Kingsley Mike, who do you predict that McMahon loses in the portal from this year's team? I mean, I keep hearing Corey Chest.
We could guess one right off the bat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm told the dollar amount for him, it could be 800 to $1 million. So what does that tell you about where that market is? And what does it tell you about what Matt McMahon needs to compete?
It goes back to everything we were saying about a half hour ago, or a little bit less than that. The price has gone up for everything, for everybody. For a guy like Corey Chest, who's a great ball player, by the way, and he's going to continue to ascend and get even better. That's a hefty chunk of change for somebody of his caliber at this exact moment. So, yeah, it's a testament to the times that we're in, and you have to open up your checkbook in order to get these big-time players to go to your school and stay at your school too. It's basically 1 year deal after 1 year deal. you got to keep renewing deals and upping the
Well,
ante. So it's going to get interesting.
I really hope LSU can hold on to him. I don't know what those discussions are like, but let's see. But there's probably some guys also that he's not going to really fight for, don't you think?
Yep.
Hakeem Batiste, Wolfenbarger needs to be big come tournament time. Morrow is going to need to rest. She logs too many minutes right now. Man, I need some Morrow. How do you replace that?
You don't.
Man, when you look at the minutes she plays, how tough she is, it's 6, and they say 6'1". I bet she's 6'1.5". But go ahead and give her 6'1". The way she plays, the minutes, how tough she is. And I mean, Mulkey talked about it last week about how she's really never tired. It's my understanding she's a beast in the weight room. I just love her as a player. I love the way she plays. But that's been like it's been that way for her when we watch her for 2 years. You look at the box score and you're like, wow, how did she do that? Like it's the double doubles, it's and the putbacks.
Well, that was me on Sunday. Sorry to interrupt, but that was me on Sunday. When you look at halftime and she has 15 rebounds at half, I'm just thinking to myself, her motor is so tremendous, and the numbers just creep up on you to the point where like you said, I sit back, I'm like, where did this come from? When I saw she had 15 boards at halftime, that took me by surprise because yes, she hustles and she's getting after it every second. Her motor is tremendous, but it sneaks up on you, man. She is a special player. You can't replace a player of her caliber. She's just so fun to watch, and the word motor is all I can think of over and over again because she just doesn't stop hustling.
That her footwork and her ability to know where to be when that ball's going in. I mean, you really have to, it's kind of like an undersized honey badger, Tyrann Mathieu.
I like that.
You have to know where to be to offset your size limitations. Football IQ, basketball IQ, anticipation. I mean, she's got all that. That's why she gets all those rebounds. Name another offensive rebound putback former LSU players is better than her. Yeah, here we go. Michael Duyall. Mike, see,
I knew someone was going to get me on it. Michael, I'm New Orleans born and raised. That's on me. I should know better than to pronounce it Richard instead of Richard. So I take that on the chin. Well,
here's the thing. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, moved to Lafayette in the late 80s. And I go to Lafayette and I see Galbert Road. That's where the radio station was where I did my first radio show. It's not Galbert, it's Galbert. But it's spelled Galbert.
Correct. I take that one on the chin. I should have known way better than to say that. That's funny. I said it twice too.
Get anybody from out of state Louisiana and show them Delcombe on the map and have them pronounce Delcombe, Louisiana.
Yep.
They're going to say Del Cambry, right?
Mm-hmm.
It to me, it comes from spending some time in the area to learn the way to say like Michael's last name, right? Some people say Duhon, or some people say in Lafayette, they say Duyon.
Yep.
Early Doucette, Jacques Doucet.
Yeah, that's a good point.
There you go. And I know Early and Jacques would have those arguments. They say their last name's different, even though they grew up parish away from each other. St. Martin and Vermilion. All right, let's see. Jimmy Page, pay $2 million for Hidalgo, and you're instantly the number one team next year.
Yeah, she's like that. Like the best of it. Yes, she is that incredible of a player. Pair that with the recruiting class you bring in too. Go get a big. Obviously, we can dream. But she's that talented of a player. She's an instant game changer, and she's proven that this year. She's sensational, truly.
I want to read one more from Dr. Butler. LSU just had a bad shooting spell against the Horns. I think the Horn crowd, I was there, knew Tigers wouldn't win. The Tigers just fell off the cliff. Yeah. Man, a lot of women's basketball discussion. Y'all come back for our 7:30 show, Inside LSU Women's Basketball. Well, good to have you. Dr. Butler, again, thank you. And as always, thanks for supporting us. Let's see. Yeah, and he has more. Jada Richard, please. She's the female version of Baby Barkley, talking about Anissa Morrow.
I like that.
Chance Babbitt. And Zach went to ULL, that is, Chance. Add another L, man.
Yep.
A raging Cajun should know better.
Not wrong.
How long did you live in Lafayette? How long did you spend in Lafayette?
I was there for 4 years.
Okay, well, you should have picked up some things.
Absolutely. I should have picked up Richard at least. I mean, it's still New Orleans, baby, man. I'm still a New Orleans kid. I should be able to do that.
All right, I'll ask you something. Who has the best pizza in Lafayette? Don't tell me Dino's.
No. There's a place downtown. I think it's Central. It's pretty good.
Yep, there you go.
There we go.
Alisi's those, man. All right. All right. I got I need to pay a bill real quick. Alumni Hall, everybody. Get over there. Best place to get all your officially licensed LSU gear. Alumni Hall, your ultimate destination for LSU fans. They got it all the new Nike gear. They've got all the new LSU baseball jerseys in every color. You want the gold one, you want the white pinstripe, you want the gray, the purple. They've got them all. And particularly in the youth sizes, a lot of the kids really want LSU baseball jerseys this time of year. Head over to Alumni Hall and, of course, Perkins Row, or you can shop online at alumnidawhall.com. But hold on to this, TigerBait, all one word, TigerBait, whether you're shopping in-store or online. If you're online, put it in the discount or coupon code box, and then you're going to get 10% off your total purchase. And that's every time you go in the store, say TigerBait, you'll get 10% off every time you go or anytime you order online. And I always say the best thing about Alumni Hall is that all of the LSU gear that you buy online is shipping from the Baton Rouge store. So if you're in North Louisiana or Lake Charles or New Orleans, you're going to get it in a day or two. You're going to get what you ordered pretty darn quick. And free shipping on all orders over $99. You cannot beat that. And I also want to talk about Capital City Grill, another fine sponsor, great restaurant, great lunch and brunch destination. And again, located at 100 Lafayette Street, downtown Baton Rouge. It's a great brunch spot before you go to the Sunday LSU baseball game. They've got it all there. Great brunch, again, and sandwiches, burgers, seafood, pasta, everything priced at $30 or below. And that brunch on Sunday runs from 11 to 2. To me, it's one of the best kept secrets in Baton Rouge. I love having a Sunday brunch, and they do it as good as anybody. The chicken and waffles is out of this world. CapitalCityGrill.net. Head over there, look at their menu, and again, when you go online, go over there to dine for lunch or brunch. Please tell them TigerBait sent you in. All right, let's see. Y'all hit us with some more questions and comments, and we'll get to them. Zach, I want to talk a little bit of football recruiting with you. And we talked about it before we went live, how that June 20th is going to be big for LSU. Certainly June is always big, camp season. A lot of kids come, some work, some don't, but a lot of official visits, unofficial visits, always through the month of June. But June 20th, that weekend's looking pretty big.
Yeah, I think you're looking at the biggest kind of weekend of the year, other than, of course, when you have your Bayou Splash and whatnot towards the end of July and stuff. But that June 20th weekend is shaping up to be one that is significant. Blaine Bradford just confirmed that he'll be in town for his official visit, and that's the #1 safety in America. Factor in Jabari Mack, who told me that he'll also be in for that weekend. #1 wide receiver in the state of Louisiana, Booby Feaster is going to make his way to town as well. So those are 3 heavy hitters, not to mention a guy like Lamar Brown, the #1 interior offensive lineman in the country, with some buzz starting to circulate that he's going to want to play defensive line in college too. So he's kind of the Travis Hunter of the trenches is what he's trying to coin himself. So it's becoming an exciting weekend. Those are 4 headliners, and they're going to start to stack up even more before it comes down to it. So big time weekend, June 20th. They're going to continue to get some guys in, and you're going to start to see this 2026 class start to take shape, I would say sooner rather than later.
We talked to Booby earlier in the week, and LSU has been on him for several years now. He was one of those kids that started getting offers right out of middle school, and LSU's been in on him from the very beginning. I think a lot of people think LSU's, either leading or no less than top 2 or 3. And so I think the relationship there with Coach Hankton is huge. The debate with Lamar Brown, whether O-line or D-line, that's been going on since his 9th grade year.
Yeah.
I know Coach Martin I know Andy Martin a couple of years said he was going to be an offensive tackle, period. But that was a couple of years ago. We'll see. But he's that kind of kid. He's going to play and do well and be a top kid wherever he's at. And so, yeah. All right. I got one more I need to talk to you guys about. And there it is. Here we go.
Drive-in style and luxury with a new Genesis from Genesis of Lafayette. Buy a 2023 Genesis G70 3.3T Sport Prestige Executive Demo and pay only $39,870. Buy a new 2025 GB70 and take $2,000 off the MSRP with value owner, competitive owner incentive, plus finance for 2.99% APR for 60 months or 3.99% APR for 72 months. Don't forget to start your shopping online by visiting genesisoflafayette.com.
There you go. Genesis of Lafayette, the premier luxury dealership, and new certified pre-owned Genesis vehicles, 6600 Johnson Street. Huge LSU fans, genesisoflafayette.com. Call them at 877-856-2961. Tell them TigerBait sent you in. And again, there's a reason why they sell more Genesis vehicles than any other Genesis dealer in the state of Louisiana. They don't play around. They're going to give you the great deal, and you got to test drive that GV70, GV80. All right, Zach, tell us what you got on your website. Promote where they can find you on X, and anything else you want to add before we get out of here.
Yeah, look, first and foremost for me, on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, it's at ZNAGI20. That's the personal page. That's where you can find stuff that I'm putting out there. And then, of course, the LSU SI site is going to be at LSU Tigers SI on X or Twitter. And my parents don't have social media. I know a lot of people don't have social media. So just go into your nearest search engine, Google, Firefox, Safari, whichever one you want, put in LSU SI, LSU Tigers SI. And if it's purple and gold related, we got it on there, whether it's recruiting, football, baseball, basketball, women's basketball, transfer portal buzz. It's always on the site. So make sure to check it out. We got a ton of stuff on there and a ton of stuff cooking. Spring camp, obviously, less than a month away. Somehow, I can't believe it. But, of course, we're going to have your practice reports and everything else you need on there as well. And that's on the kind of words, the typing side of things. And then for video, Mike's always got you covered on that on TigerBait. He doesn't sleep when it comes to the videos and the podcast. So, obviously, always stay checking Mike's YouTube and his page as well.
All right. You mentioned Firefox. I didn't know that existed. I was waiting for you to also list AOL and Netscape.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for Zach for filling in for Buddy. Great stuff as always. And you guys, please, if you enjoyed the show, hit the like button. And again, we're doing another show in less than 30 minutes at 7:30. Emily Ward and I are going to talk LSU women's basketball. And so 2 shows tonight, back to back. Zach, thanks again, man. We'll do it again soon, and see you on the other side. Good night, everybody.